Hello, and welcome back to the Ask the Color Expert podcast. Today's special guest is Francesca Rivetti. She is a Philadelphia salon owner, my hometown. She is 100% Italian, but when you hear her open her mouth, you're going to be shocked at the accent that comes out. So 100% Italian, but from the UK. She is a hair innovator and inspirator. And we just had a little pre-interview chat that I was like, whoa, stop. Let's start recording because I want everyone to hear what I am hearing. So she is a NAHA winner. She's been nominated 5 times. She is a winner. She's been nominated for so many awards. I can't even get them all into this podcast and still have time for us to chat. So I would love to welcome her in so she can tell her story herself. Thank you for being here, Francesca. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Elaine, for having me. I'm excited to share.
I love that I get to see and hear you because I'm loving your haircut. Your style is awesome. I'm sitting here thinking, do I have enough hair to have that? I always want those layers, but then I start to get collapsed in here. So I think I need to come to Philly and have you cut me.
Sure. Can I just add what this haircut is?
Yeah.
It's the SSS, the 7-section shag haircut that I'm promoting. I introduced that. It's not even, it'll be a year in March when I was a platform artist for Living Proof on the ISSE virtual platform last March. And they said, you have 7 minutes. I said, don't worry, because I had been playing around with this haircut in the salon and breaking down the technique, breaking down the mindful placement of these 7 sections. They have to be placed in a specific way. And trust me, it looks great on every hair type, every hair texture, and every length. And it just came out amazing. And I've done it so many times that I actually offer it as a class on my website that you can purchase. Or I'm going to be adding a subscription soon so that you can subscribe to my website and just take in all the glory that's there.
That's amazing. I'm loving the new shags. And I see now they're talking about like the mixie and the, different combinations, but I love that you have the length, like this is my little security as most women are. So I love that you have the length, but I love, this is also droopy on me. I need some zhuzh. So I'm coming to see you in Philadelphia.
Come to Philly and get your SSS haircut, baby.
Yes, I'm getting an SS for sure. So I know, congratulations. I just saw on Facebook before we started the interview that you have a cover on a beautiful magazine. Yes. You are everything as a hairstylist that I am definitely not, as far as the avant-garde and the creative. I've never pushed myself in that direction. In order to do NAHA, I think you have to have that sort of creativity. But I love that you said, I am a rebellious disciplinarian. And I want to talk about that because you have that edgy rock and roll, the shag, and it's that Sally Hershberger. You just tousled it with your hands and it fell exactly as it should. But you also talked about head shape and that head shape matters and where you cut and where you section. That's why I'm a color specialist, because with cutting, I never took into consideration that gap behind the ear that tends to be, you get a hole back there and over direction and all of those things always stressed me out. And I think that, the good old foundations of, you have a Graham Webb background, Vidas Sassoon background, those foundations, I feel, have gotten lost in translation. I think that people have taken the let me make it my own so far away from the classic shapes that it's like they're just feeling their way through it and guessing sometimes.
Right.
So as a trainer, as an educator, as a NAHA winner, as an artist, what is your thought on that, on how far we've strayed from the classics?
I totally agree with everything you said. I'd like to add a quote, if I may, at this point. And one of my favorite quotes is by Pablo Picasso. And it goes like this, that one must learn the rules like a pro before you break them like an artist. And I can relate, because when I say I'm that rebellious disciplinarian, I came from a discipline background, but I couldn't wait to because everything was so disciplined. Your sections had to be so precise, fine, and you had to stand in certain areas but that's why precision cutting is called precision cutting because it has to be precise. And the foundations and the fundamentals are there globally. It's not just, kept for the UK or Europe, it's global. If you want to execute a beautiful, classic, traditional bob, you have to do it in a classic, disciplined way. Now, as we know, then as we evolve, we can change our tools, we can change our techniques, we can really get that rebellious side in there and really break it up and make it completely our own. So hence, like, dry cutting became a big thing in like the 90s, whereas back in the 70s, when I came in the industry, if it wasn't a clean, precise line, it was considered a bad haircut. That's just how it was. So that's where I think the discipline has changed. And I think for the schools here in America, I know in England, you've got the in-salon training programs, you do the apprenticeship. So there's two different rules of thumb going on here. But anyone that's listening, please, if you haven't, invest in a classic training. You will thank me for it later. And just, it doesn't matter how many times you do it, you learn it, because that is what you'll always fall back on, are your fundamentals. So before you break the rules, you need to know what you're breaking. Everybody wants to go and do avant-garde, but avant-garde doesn't mean to say, you still need to understand the head shape. Where am I holding this section in relation to where it's going to fall in the head shape? Like you said earlier, Elaine, about the hole over there, that's what I call the transition area. And one of the things that I love to do when I talk about and teach the head shape is I actually use a tape measure and just show you, do you know you've got from the top of your ear to the base of someone's hairline, there's almost 4 inches of emptiness, nothing, a void. So we have to transition our sections in those areas so that we don't get the hole that we don't want, right? How many times you've gone to do a bobbing, like, oh God, where did that hole come from?
Mm-hmm.
And the same goes when, as you said, when you're doing mindful color placement, you need to know exactly where that fall is going to sit so that, should you choose to cut the hair a lot shorter afterwards, it still will work with that. And I think it doesn't matter how long you've been doing hair. I've been doing hair for blah, blah, blah years. You should never take it for granted that you know it. That's mistake number one, thinking you know it all. You should never take it for granted. Always try and revisit things with fresh eyes.
Something totally random that I have to share that just popped into my head. When you just went like this and said, do you know, from your ear to whatever is this? Someone pointed out to me at a party a long time ago that the size of your foot is from your wrist to the crease of your elbow. And I was like, what? And I put it up to my foot and it's exactly the size of your foot on every person. Like that's like one of those random things.
I've never heard about that, but I've heard about if you measure your collar, that's supposed to be, is that your waist? I don't know.
There's Christ, I would look like Shrek if my neck was the size of my waist. I hope that one's not true.
No, I know.
maybe that's what your waist should be, is the circumference of your neck.
Try that later, right?
But I love, you and I'm 35 years, you're blah, blah, blah. I know more. I know you've been around before me. And we're both having this chat virtually from 2 different cities in 2 different states. And we both still have the same passion now as we did when we started out. And I attribute that to buckling down with those classics. I remember not only was I thought I knew everything. I was out on the floor at a salon. I opened my salon when I was 22 years old, and I was 80% confidence, 20% skill. I thought I knew. I was like, I got this. I have all the kitchen beautician friends in the world that are going to come to my salon. And I felt myself being that person that kept feeling my way through a haircut, especially a layered haircut. I would just keep going in and I would get the texturizing shears and take weight out where the weight shouldn't have been there in the first place if it was cut properly. And I would get the latest American or Modern Salon magazine, and every single person that was featured in the magazine would mention a Vidal Sassoon training at some point in the article, every single one. And I was like, I feel like I missed out not taking that classic cutting. I only had the beauty school cutting and then went right behind a chair. So my daughter was 9 months old, reading the magazine, and I said out loud, oh, my biggest regret is not taking that classical cutting training early in my career before I had children. Now I feel like I can't go away to an academy for a straight week and miss work and miss being a mom. And my husband said, well, I don't ever want to be the reason that you have regrets in your career. Go. I'll make sure I take care of everything here. Go. And it was so awful. The first day I was in tears because it was so different than what I had been doing. And I was like, probably, I would say 4 years into being behind the chair and owning a salon success. I was successful. I had a full book. Everybody was happy, but I knew there was a better way. And I almost had permanent imposter syndrome because I knew I was feeling my way through it. So I'll never forget the first haircut at Vidal Sassoon. I had to go through lunch. It took me 2 hours to do the cut. And I just wanted to run out the door and go back to Philadelphia and go back to my old ways. But I pushed through it. Yeah. You have to push through it.
I mean, good for you that you recognize that and you took control of the situation. It's never too late, regardless how long we've been in the industry. It's never too late to take a fundamental foundational course, whether it's Vidal Sassoon with me or anybody, because it's all about the disciplines and understand there's so much to learn. It's not even really about the actual haircut. It's the journey that you take to get to that haircut, the disciplinary steps that you take. So with the SSS haircut, the 7-section shag, it looks funky because it's a modern day shag. However, the planning and prepping and placement of the sections is so strategic. And in the class on my website, I think it's like 7 or 8 modules are broken down to get to actually doing the haircut. So I talk about the head shape. I talk about the sectioning, the placement of the sections, and how to hold each section and where to cut and so forth. So, avant-garde can be interpreted into so many different interpretations, but to me, it's like an extension. This is when, you're taking your fundamentals and the disciplines, and now you've extended it, because avant-garde to me is a thought, it's a feeling. You can inspire somebody to be creative, but you can't make them, you can't teach them. I always say that creativity is like a muscle. We all have it. It's like, if we don't go to the gym, what happens? It gets a bit jiggly, doesn't it? That jiggly muscle. So exercising that muscle soon firms it up. And so when you get stronger and stronger, same as with creativity, everybody has a creative muscle. The more you start implementing it and trying it out, you'll be surprised at how much your mind power expands, that things will come. I am way more creative now than I was 10 years ago. And I think because, to me, there's nothing more kind of rewarding than to have an idea in my head. The next thing is you bring the team together to create and see it come to fruition. You're like, wow. And then you say, well, I'm going to submit to a magazine. And there it is, a front cover of a magazine. Or I'm going to submit to NAHA. And then, you get nominated. There's nothing more gratifying than to see that art evolve from a thought to the actual creation. It feeds me on so many levels.
Now, that being said, have you ever felt a bit frustrated behind the chair because you don't get to do as fun and funky NAHA worthy work on the average client in your chair, or are they drawn to you because they're a little more funky?
Yeah, I'm very lucky, Elaine. I've got the kind of clientele I have. I think I've really nurtured that clientele, and I love all my clients. I've got some very classic. I've got only a very small handful of long hair clients. The rest are all like clients with statements, a statement haircut, a statement color. If you look at my Instagram page, you'll see a lot of my diverse work, but I'm also not afraid to sell the idea to a client. My theory is when a client comes in, it's all about consultation. It's all about communication. I can sell a makeover just like that. Like you can sell a color or you can sell a shampoo. To me, you're selling the idea of something new that they've never had. And 9 times out of 10, when there's a new client sitting in my chair, she left somebody else's chair to be in mine.
Absolutely.
And there's a reason for that. And I think sometimes that to me, when you get a new client, that is a window of opportunity. So no more bitching about, this and that, because you can reinvent yourself with a new client, from the way you dress to the way you approach them. And you can really turn it around. You can start planting seeds. Maybe she won't have exactly what you recommended today, but maybe within 6 months, I want that short haircut you told me about, because you emphasize you've got a great head shape, this, your hairline will do this, you start getting them involved and getting them excited. And you can definitely be an artist behind the chair for sure. And
do you do every service behind the chair? Do you strictly cut? Do you do cut and color?
I do it all. I do it all. I do the cut, the color, the blow dry, the keratin if I need to introduce keratin, perms. I love doing perms every now and then.
They're coming back. I've seen a lot of buzz on them. Just a different type.
We had a real strong shag and we got bored. I said, let's just perm it, and I permed it on the matchstick perm rods. The red.
Oh my gosh!
It was awesome. It was awesome. That's on my Instagram somewhere as well, but. No, I mean, I came into the industry where you were either perming the hair or it was geometric. It was nothing in between. It was either curly or poker straight, so we permed hair and everything, pipe cleaners, you name it. We did it all.
Now, it's funny because people are still trying to get the beach wave out of a perm. You have those clients that bring in the picture of someone who's clearly blown out with a bouncy blowout and then beach wave. And they're like, I want my perm to look like that.
Yeah,
so
wow.
we haven't gotten to that point yet, for sure. Do you work alongside other people? Or are you in a studio alone? What's your setup like?
I'm in my own salon. I call it Follicle Studio, but it's not a studio as in like a suite. I've had my business for 17 years this year. There's only me, one other person right now. So I'm looking to introduce more stylists in the very, very near future. So I'm in the process of searching, interviewing. So if anybody knows anybody in the Philadelphia area, send them my way. And we'll bounce off each other. It's great. Our clients love it. They love the energy that's in the salon. My walls are purple, by the way. I have purple walls in the salon, which is kind of unheard of in a hair salon, right?
It can make hair color a little bit tricky, for sure.
But it's a certain type of purple, which really goes well with every color, because I did color swatching before I did it, but people love to come in because it doesn't look like your typical type of salon situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, years ago, when I first popped on here, I said I had reached out to you it has to be probably at least 20 years ago. You were doing a class on showing people how to do a proper photo shoot. Like for me, I've been doing this 35 years. I've done one photo shoot, and I was in beauty school. I was the shampoo girl at the salon, and they let me be part of the photo shoot. I was so fangirled the whole entire time. Like the whole process was so amazing to me from start to finish, and just seemed like such a whole other level of hairdressing. But I know that you're going to say like, oh my gosh, it's so fun and it's so easy, because that's your world. You're so artistic. Do you still do those classes? That's something that I would still love to.
I do a class called Lights, Camera, Action. That's not available on the website yet. I'm going to introduce like a web version of it, but really that's more that you have to be in it. Yeah. But because photo shoots, we can create a photo shoot for our Instagram. We can create photo shoots to adorn our walls in our salon with our own work. Magazines, advertising, you name it. I mean, it just goes so far. But yes, I love doing a photo shoot, and I've done them for years. I've done some really quick ones, and I've really learned that you really need to plan it out. And that was always hard for me, because I was one of those people that, I'm just going to whip this out and create this, and I can do that. But not everybody else can be on the same page as you at that speed. And I know that I'm very unique in that area. But I really enjoyed the plan. It was really hard for me to plan it, because first of all, I get a trillion ideas. Like I think, I want to do this look. Then no, I want to do that look. Then I get confused because I don't know what look I'm going to do. But my inspiration comes from all over, literally all over the place. But a photo shoot is only as successful as the planning that goes into it and finding the right team. But yes, if you know anyone that is interested, would love to put a class together, because I love to do photo shoots. Love it.
I'm thinking it would be amazing to do a destination hairdresser retreat. Like I can't remember now what's recorded and what isn't. I don't think we recorded the part where you talked about the, hold on, I want to go back to my notes. I don't want the hair chi. That was very intriguing to me because I'm someone who's starting to get into a little bit of yoga, meditation, things that I didn't do at a younger age. And you talked about hair chi being the posture for being behind the chair. As someone who's been standing for a really long time and everything's starting to hurt a lot, I wish I knew about hair chi when I was a younger stylist. So my wheels are turning and I'm thinking beautiful destination because everybody's dying to travel and we've been locked up for far too long. So a fun location and do like everything that's involved in a photo shoot where either we all do it together for one model or each person does their own model. Again, I'm like you, I just throw spaghetti at the wall and everything happens to work out. But that and your, seven, whatever shag that you called it, I'm staring at your hair and I'm obsessed with your haircut.
Can I just add, love? I just actually cut my hair yesterday.
It is it's the exact haircut that I want. Your fringe is like just perfectly separated. It's so youthful, but yet mature. Like it doesn't, you don't look like you're trying to be a teenager, but it looks so youthful.
Such a fun haircut. And this is me just waking up.
Oh my gosh.
Last night, wrapped in a towel, boom, done. Love it. Love it.
I love that. So that's your retreat. So just tell me the dates and where to be and I'll be there.
All right, let's organize it. Let's do that. I would love to do that.
For sure. So salon ownership, do you get as much passion and do you get lit up as much with the mundane salon things or do you prefer to be the artist? Because that was always the hardest part for me. I enjoyed the client part of it more than the scheduling, hiring, training, all of that stuff.
Well, when I opened my salon 17 years ago, I made a conscious decision that I'm not going to be behind the chair 5 days a week, that I will be behind the chair 4 days. And then Tuesday is what I call my business development day. It's the day that I meet with my accountant or we meet with my reps. If my reps really want to meet me, Tuesday's the day. When I'm behind the chair, I am behind the chair. I am a hairstylist. Leave me alone. I don't take phone calls about business, nothing. So I made the conscious decision to do that. And that has worked, to be honest. And I actually have learned a lot and I'm still learning. I'm still learning about things change all the time. Like right now I'm studying about SEOs and, on the back end of Google. And I'm like,
isn't it exhausting?
Oh God. I find, being in front of the computer so tiring, like my eyes at the end of the day, I'm like ugly eyes. But I think, you need to know a certain amount to run a business, just like you need to run your home. So I'm always learning. I mean, yes, I prefer to be behind the chair more than I do anything else, but it's part of the journey, really, to be honest. So I think, I'd like to know, but when I can, if I can delegate stuff out, if somebody's better at doing it, then hey, go for it. Knock your socks off, go for it, do it.
Yeah, I realized recently at this stage of my career that my need to be in control all the time held me back in a lot of ways that I would do differently if I would start all over again. Right. Part of the mentorship that I just launched for hairstylists, it's called the Hairstylist Ultimate Mentorship. The first section of the membership is me referring to Cher, who I love. If I could turn back time, I started each lesson with, if I could turn back time, I would, and I go into what the thing is that I would change and why. And, a lot of people, when I interview them for this podcast, I'll say, what would you do differently? And they'll say, I wouldn't do anything different because that's how I became the person that I am. I'm like, you're full of shit if you say that. There's no way you can be on God's green earth for 50 years and not say one thing that you would do differently. And I don't think saying you would do something differently admits that you had a negative experience. It's just, you can get on the other side of it. Like for you with setting up this virtual education, I'm 4 years into it. So for me, click, 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 no big deal. But for you, it's like, wait, what button? And I remember what that feels like. And it was not a pleasant feeling. And we also went through that with hair. The first time we put a foil in the hair and trying to hold it, I just finished right before you and I got on here. I did a one-on-one foiling class, and she actually a couple minutes in got really emotional. And she's like, I feel like I should be better at this. I said, what did you feel like the first time you got on a bicycle? You didn't feel confident. You were terrified you were going to fall. So I'm like, if you've never foiled hair before, why would you think that you should be good at this? So when I say, if I could turn back time, I can see things differently. And I know that by being such a control freak, I never worked with a personal assistant. When I think about what I could have gotten done in a day with another person with me versus what I got done and felt constantly overwhelmed, but I was so controlling that I didn't want someone else doing any step of what I was doing, because I wanted to make sure it was done exactly how I would do it. And I look back and I'm like, how exhausting to do that for all those years. And for what? My assistant would have been learning and growing and benefiting from the experience every bit as much as me letting go of that control and learning that really in the end of it all, you really have no control over a whole lot of things, and you need to just be okay with that.
I know, but it takes a while to get us to that point though, and to own it and accept it and acknowledge it. So, and it's good that you do, it's good that you're there. But I've worked with many assistants over the years, and some of them get it, some of them don't. Some of them are 10 beats ahead of you. That's what I prefer, someone that, because you can train somebody to be your assistant, obviously, but there's nothing worse than assisting your assistant to assist you.
Back up and say that again. Back up and say that again. That is a gem right there.
Nothing worse than training your assistant to assist you. Then you're assisting them to assist you. And that's happened to me before, where I'm like, if you're going to pass the fork, bring it up to me. Don't have it dilly-dallying over there. If you're going to pass me a hair grip, it's like their arms should come out. Their arms like glued to their sides, like
alligator arms.
On a set of a photo shoot, I need you to bring that pin right up to my nose. So I'm literally just picking it away. I don't have to be leaning all over the place. Some people think that's like you're being really picky, but you're not. You're just trying to work effectively. And so, so there's nothing worse than, having an assistant, but you're assisting them to assist you. That's the thing, how I said it, right?
Yeah. And I think that's what happened with me. I think I would get so frustrated because there were extremes. There was the one that wanted to take over and talk over you to the client and say more than they should say. Then there's the one that leans on the counter like they are ready for a nap and they're so bored they don't want to be there.
That energy is all over the place.
Yeah. And I was saying to my husband the other day, I'm like, there's certain things that you feel that you should not even have to say out loud. Like when there's a towel on the floor, it should not have to be in the, the employee manual. When towel is on floor, please pick up. Like it's common sense. So that used to make me crazy because it's exactly what you just said. I felt like I was working hard to be able to train them to be my assistant.
You were assisting her to assist you to assist her. Yeah.
Yes.
But they say common sense ain't so common.
No.
Yeah.
You're just dropping the bombs today. The quotes, the bombs. You are on fire. It must be the haircut. I think when I get your haircut, I'm gonna be that.
You're gonna be just like me, bombing it. You're gonna be dropping all the gems, lovey.
I love it. And I can feel your energy through this computer screen. Like you have that energy and passion, and that's so important and so necessary for this next generation of stylists to see. Like I actually feel really sad for how Instagram can make you feel about yourself. Like my son yesterday was at one of those clubs at a pool at a venue where everybody's pretty much naked. Like the girls are in thongs, the guys are, they're buff, hair-free chest, and everybody's greased up and if you're not a perfect 10, in Florida, it's everywhere. But I looked at his Instagram and I was like, I wouldn't even want to walk into a place like that feeling and looking the way that I do. Like I can only imagine a young girl that has a normal girl body that's not, like not starving herself to death. But even him, he's a guy, and he was like, oh, I got to get to the gym after doing that yesterday. Like, there's this comparison, I know, is the thief of joy, but it also is impossible to avoid when you see, say you're a starting out stylist and you see someone that maybe is like 18 months in and they suddenly have 20,000 Instagram followers and they're being sponsored by a manufacturer, and you can barely do a 1-length haircut behind the chair. For you and I, we didn't know what other people were doing. All we had to worry about is ourselves.
We didn't have social media. We didn't have email. We didn't have social media. We didn't even have cell phones.
Right.
I mean, back in the day, I remember going to a library on my day off and researching books, or going to a bookstore and sitting there for hours looking at the really expensive high-end magazines. Didn't have a phone to take any snapshots of anything. So I think the difference is back then is that you really just tapped into yourself more, your own imagination. Whereas now, I mean, people are big into doing like storyboards for photo shoots. I'll be honest with you, that throws me off. I like to put a storyboard together. This is the type of lighting, boom. This may be the type of makeup, but I'm not saying, I know the storyboards are there just for inspiration and not to be copied. I get that. But I don't know, like when I do my creations, I have an idea and then I work with it. Like, for instance, I don't know if you saw my mop collection that I got nominated for NAHA Avant-Garde 2 years ago. I was going to throw out a bunch of commercial mops that I had in the basement. I'm like, wait a minute, open them up. Well, let me see what I can do with these.
That's
and I
awesome.
made 3 awesome creations out of it, which got me an Avant-Garde nomination. And that year, the rules were different because they said hair like fiber, which it looked like hair like fiber because it's mop and it was the industrial one. And I broke it down to make them really long. I mean, again, that's on my Instagram as well. And also, I think on my website. But that's where I come from. I like to, and I'm also one of those common sense hairdressers. Like, I like to break it down. So when I teach, I call it the breakdown. We're breaking it all down. Like, why is that section like that? Why are you holding it like this? Why does it? And then the light bulb moments go on and on and on and on and on, and they get it. And it's nothing more gratifying as a hairdresser and as an educator and a hair inspirator to see your student get it. Because I think once they really get it and they're comfortable with it, and also I've got all the tips and tricks in the world to how to get there quicker as well. Like, that's my rebellion side but with disciplinarian at the same time. Hence the Sss Haircut. It's a rebellious approach, but it's still disciplined.
And I love that because that's part of what the new generation demands of us. They don't want, when I started my first job at a salon, they said to me on the interview, you're going to train for 2 years before you ever touch a client behind the chair. You're going to go to class every Monday, work on live models, but before you work on a paid client, it's going to be 2 years. And I remember thinking like, because I was 80% confident, 20% skilled. I thought I knew it all. I was like, that's ridiculous. But, I hear their training's good. I'll do it. Fortunately, I was very motivated and I ended up on the floor in 3 months, which was amazing. But that was back in the 80s when you really did have to stay for 2 years before they even thought about promoting you. The new generation wants to be at 6 figures in 6 months behind the chair. Like, they want the Evelyn Wood speed reading version of cosmetology.
I think that also comes from some of these influencers out there that talk about money and talk about how you can get from 0 to that in a short period of time. And unfortunately, and also you've got to think about the consumer. The consumer doesn't know if they don't know. But they don't know they're getting a mediocre haircut because they've never had anything other.
Yep.
And you don't know if you've got a great haircut or vice versa. That do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, there's no comparison. They don't even have anything to measure it against.
So like, if you've got someone that's used to having a very disciplined, structured haircut and they go somewhere, they can tell if that person isn't up to par by their approach. They haven't even picked up their scissors yet. They can normally tell. And so the discipline isn't solely about the execution of the haircut. It's your approach to the haircut. It's your approach to your foiling and so on and so forth. And the head shape, first and foremost, that's what's most important because the head is the canvas and the hair is the paint. Boom. If you don't understand what the frontal parietal ridge and the occipital bone and where all the most of the hair lives and all the transition areas and so on and so forth, all the reference points, you're not going to get it. But once you understand the reference points, you're going to have so many aha moments.
The other thing that I think has been missing a lot in education in our industry is not only the fact of where hair lives on the head, but facial features. You know, I remember when I went to Vidal Sassoon, the purpose of me being there was like, I want to be able to do a makeover where I can look at a client, see their hair the way they're wearing it now, and see them completely different and bring out their best features. I still don't know how to do that 35 years later.
Right. Well, you know, that again is consultation, and it's studying the face shape. So I talk about the head shape, but also when I do my consultations, when clients come to me for the first time, I have a very different system. I do a consultation only appointment. Now, ever since lockdown, the benefit of that, one of the pluses of that was doing what I call the concierge video consultation. So now we can do it virtually. But the reason why I do it is because, and it's about a 30-minute appointment, 30, maybe even 45, and I charge for it. And it doesn't get applied to their service because it's a service in itself.
Nice.
And but what I do is I have a questionnaire that they fill out so I can collect what I call hair data from past haircuts and colors, what they like, what they didn't like, to current. And then, but I study everything, their hairline, their growth pattern, their face shape. And then I ask them to point out, what is your favorite feature? Is it your eyes, your lips? What do you love most about your face? So really get them involved and included in the consultation. And, you know, you can make somebody look like they've had a facelift. We should be charging for that, I think, to be honest. This head says $10,000. Oh, wow, that elevated your cheekbones, you know.
It's so true, though. I mean, just looking at your fringe, I always say a fringe is cheaper and healthier than Botox. Like, I think it takes 5 years off right away as soon as someone does a soft fringe around their eyes and brings out their eyes. So it is definitely an art, but I feel like it's really tough to get to. Like, I love that you talk about that in your education, because most stylists don't. It's almost like the head is a doll head. Like, they want to just lift it up off the body and put it on a block and just deal with the hair and not the overall picture, is what I have found, you know, from going to hair shows. And
it's head shape, face shape features, because you can have an oval shaped face, but the eyes are high or the eyes are low, which will make it either a high forehead or a low forehead. So it's amazing. It's like you move things around, and then all of a sudden the shape of the face changed, and you haven't done anything. Well, you've done quite a lot. You've changed the shape of the hair, where it hits the cheekbones or the jawline or the eye area, you know. So that's what I love about doing hair. It's like magic sometimes, like, bing, you know.
It really is. Well, as we're talking and you're referring to your Instagram, I know where I'm going as soon as we hang up. So I know that people are either on their treadmill or they're driving in their car and they're like, damn it, I can't drive and look at her Instagram and listen to this interview at the same time. So share with people how they can find you on Instagram, number one, and how to find out about this amazing haircut that I cannot wait to get on my own hair.
Oh, that's awesome. So first of all, my Instagram is Francesca Rivetti, then _hair art. So it's my full name _hair art. The haircut is the SSS, the 7-section shag, is available on my website, francescarivetti.com. It's offered as a module course. I will be having a subscription coming in due. Hopefully this week it'll be set up, a subscription, because I have a ton of stuff. Because I take the haircut and I take it into 2 different looks. I take it into a street faux hook and then take it into a classic cocktail look as well. So we change it up, but it's broken down. We talk about the head shape. Also, there's a segment about the head shape on there, and so on. So I'm adding a lot more content as we evolve. The website was launched in January. So it's out there, and it's a great haircut. Everybody's going to love it. And the model, this is the 3rd time I've done it on the lovely Daisy. And there is a testimony video on the website where Daisy just talks about how in love she is with this haircut. And we've done different variations of it. And honestly, I've done it on kinky curly hair, like the kinky black curly hair. I've done it on long, short, mid, so forth. I've done it on my clients love it. It grows in amazingly. And it's such a fun versatile. You can still put it up. You can create the illusion that you've got shorter hair. You can do so much with it. And it's a shame that people can't see what we're
Well,
doing.
they're going to see it. So if you're listening to the podcast, go back and watch it on the YouTube version so that you can see Francesca and this amazing haircut. So they will get to see you, but most people hear it on the actual podcast first. So they have the ability to see your rock star haircut. And Philadelphia is a great location. Like if anybody, do you still do hands-on if anybody wants to come and have a workshop?
I do it on site, which means at Follicle Studio, which is in a great neighborhood, Fabric Row. It's really funky. There's great restaurants. There's like great boutiques, vintage thrift shopping is all in the neighborhood. And then also on location, so I can come to your salon and do it in the comfort of your home, or online as a prepaid class, or we can do a Zoom. So there are many different ways that we can work together in creating this from every aspect. I mean, I've got so much in the way of tips and tricks, from behind the chair as a hairstylist to behind the set on a photo shoot, as doing editorial work. I mean, I love doing it all. I love it. It's like, I can't believe how much more passionate I am about the industry today than I was, even a few years ago.
I agree. I think we have the peaks and valleys, but overall, it's such an amazing industry to be in. You can't not be in love with it and just want to keep going and just keep learning. That I love everything that we talked about. You're absolutely amazing. I can't wait to check out that SSS module. I love that you're paying it forward and you're sharing everything with the next generation. That's what it's all about. So guys listening, make sure you check out her Instagram. I know that's right where I'm going as soon as we end this recording. And we definitely will stay in touch and do a fun workshop on a photo shoot. I think that would be great.
Oh, I think we need to start planning the location photo shoot.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time, Francesca. I'm sure this will not be the last time we chat on here. This is just the beginning of a beautiful relationship. And thank you all for listening. We will see you on the next one.
Thank you.